All right, so let's talk a little bit about Retro Studios, because today they did something that absolutely sent the internet into a frenzy when it comes to speculation and the idea that we're getting close to a Metroid Prime 4 announcement, or I guess a re-reveal? A reveal? We only really saw like an image of 4 and the logo and everything. We've never actually seen what the game looked like, but I do believe we're getting close to a Metroid Prime reveal of some kind. Shocker, right? It's only been 3 years since they rebooted it, and then since 2017 since they first showed it. Anyway, we're going to talk about Retro Studios and them getting the internet talking by changing their banner on their profile. Guys, if you enjoyed these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave Plus channel, make sure you subscribe down below so we can see it right here. This is what's got the internet just like kicked up in a frenzy with speculation, all of this. Now, at the top of Retro Studios, their Twitter profile, yeah, they indeed changed the banner. And I mean, it's a cool looking image. It's basically a silhouette of Samus there, nice blue lights behind her. Sure, it makes sense to have that as their Twitter profile. It just feels like Retro Studio will randomly wake up at some point, and then they're going to start talking about all this information with Metroid Prime 4 and potentially that Metroid Prime remake. And obviously, if they make little moves like this, it gets people wondering if we're getting close to that point, because I feel like once we see something from Retro Studios when it comes to Metroid Prime, I mean, all bets are off. We're going to hit with like a marketing blitz for this series, and that's exciting stuff for Metroid fans. So I understand why there is so much excitement when Retro Studios does something small like this banner profile update, or even like a job listing for Metroid Prime 4. People really read into those quite heavily. Like, even if it's something basic for a contracting position that maybe someone had to move on to some other project or studio and they're looking to fill that position, people will connect the dots and say, wow, what's going on with Metroid Prime 4? Probably business as usual, to be honest. Although Retro Studios, they're held in very high regard. They've had a lot of games canceled. So maybe that's the other thing. People, while they are hopeful that Metroid Prime 4 is good, I mean, you could also have some people that are maybe a little nervous about it. I mean, there's been a lot of issues with the game. Clearly, it was shown in 2017, and we never actually saw the game itself, just a logo of it. And the word was that Nintendo tried to do it internally, partnering with Bandai Namco. It didn't work out. And, I mean, Nintendo tried to make a first-person shooter adventure game, and let's face it, Retro Studios was probably the place they should have had create the thing in the first place, but for some reason, Nintendo decided they wanted to do it themselves. I don't know what Retro was working on at the time. The word is they've been actually working on this Metroid Prime remake or remaster for years now, which is interesting. But apparently they're pretty happy with it, so we should see that soonish. My only thing is, we just got done that Nintendo Direct pretty recently that's setting up 2022. So them changing this Twitter banner doesn't necessarily, to me anyway, signal that we are getting very, very close to a reveal, because I think at the very least we would have to wait until probably June when we'd have that typical E3 Direct. Now, the only thing that kind of throws that in doubt even for me is that we're probably not going to have an E3 this year. So Nintendo is going to be on their own schedule basically for the rest of the year as to when they want to do a Direct. Sure, they could partner with Jeff Keighley for Summer Game Fest and just run a Direct at that time with him. And does Nintendo really need it? Nah, not really. I mean, they just announced, hey, a Direct's going to happen this week. They can announce the day before, right? And everyone will show up to check out what they have. And if you don't show up, you'll probably hear about it in the news on a website with all the announcements broken up, and people will be talking about it on Twitter, good or bad. So maybe they just want to announce it when they want. Maybe they just want to have Metroid Prime get its own event, and they, like a Treehouse or something there, a smaller Direct. They talk about this remake that I feel like is coming out this year, and then we see Metroid Prime 4 all at the same time. My one thing with that remake, however, a remaster, is that really just going to be the first Metroid Prime? Because it would be very weird to have Metroid Prime and then Metroid Prime 4, but leave out 2 and 3. Like, you want to get people introduced to the series with the first one, I get it, but then you're just going to leave out this big block of story and lore for the people who maybe have not played Metroid Prime. And there are quite a few people who have not. It's on the GameCube, it's on the Wii, it's on the Wii U, sure, but the series hasn't been a massive seller, right? Like, just getting the 3 million units has been a struggle, even for Metroid Dread, it's doing well, but I mean, it's taking some time to get there. It's not like other games where you see Pokemon Legends Arceus come out, immediately shoots past 6 million units sold, no questions asked. Takes a little more time for Metroid to get there. So there are plenty of people who have not played the series at all who I think would benefit from the previous 3 being on the Switch. So maybe Metroid Prime Remaster is actually the trilogy with just the first one being done. I don't know, maybe Nintendo decides, hey, the first one remastered is worth the full $60, which we'll see about that. It's just interesting to me that Retro Studios can do something so small as change their banner on their Twitter profile, and it just gets the internet kicked up in a frenzy with speculation. Although they've posted things like, barbecue before in the past, and people were linking that to Metroid Prime and stuff, so who knows? Well, we'll see if Nintendo has any plans to do something Metroid specific in an event. I'm thinking, though, we're just going to kind of hang out and wait until the summertime. We'll figure out when that E3 Direct ends up being this time. And that's where I would expect something Metroid related to be to start setting us up for the road to Metroid Prime 4. But let me know what you guys think about all this down below. Do you think Retro Studios is dropping the hint there with that banner update? Or do you think an intern was like, oh, we haven't changed that in a while. Let's do that and celebrate Metroid here with our profile. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.